Why do you research and write about Tahitian Noni juice rather than the other Noni juices?
It's simple. Tahitian Noni juice represents 95% of all the noni that's taken in the United States and throughout the world. Now that's a big percentage. And Tahitian Noni juice is the only one that I found that was safe and that they had done quality control. So I don't know about the other noni juices, and therefore I don't intermingle the two results. All my results are published just on Tahitian Noni juice.
Okay. For me, I would think that in the consumer's mind, the most important question is safety. Would you agree?
Oh, question. Safety and effectiveness.
And yeah, I mean, because both of us have heard about all the different news flashes about the dangers of unregulated natural products, to the warnings about prescription drugs, so forth and so on. How can we know that Noni juice is actually safe for us?
The company routinely and consistently checks for over 300 different toxins. None have been found. And the final reason is that Europe's Novel Food Act Commission looked at it, asking just the question you asked, is it safe?
Sure.
And they came down on, yes, it is safe, and therefore it can be used in Europe. And I know of people who have drank up to 7 bottles a day, and they didn't have any adverse effects.
It's kind of like drinking water.
Some people drink it like they drink water.
Yeah. What about food allergies? I mean, could people actually be allergic to Noni juice?
Sure. You can be allergic to anything. I found that about 1% of the people were allergic to Noni juice.
Okay. What about side effects with Noni juice?
You can have side effects to anything, and Noni juice is no exception. Some people had minor rashes, a little diarrhea, but by and large, it was quite safe. And all the side effects would go away when the person either cut the dose down or stopped drinking it.
Okay. I'm still not convinced. I've heard about some reports that some people took Noni juice and actually became sick. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. When I checked this out, I found that not one of those people had taken Tahitian Noni juice. They had taken other Noni juices. And as I said, I can't talk to the safety or the purity or the quality control of any other Noni juice. In fact, some of them were really done behind the garage. They were putting Noni in cans and smashing them up and selling bottles of them. So, that's a different league. And that's another reason why I wouldn't pool the data. I said, 95% of the people that take Tahitian Noni juice, I'll take that data. I have some other data, but I put it to the side.
We'll talk about some specific diseases and conditions in just a minute. But in your published findings, you identify literally 29 different conditions helped by using Noni juice. That's what my grandmother would have called a tonic. Good for what ails you. How can it be possible that Noni juice helps so many people with so many different problems?
Well, let me first say your grandmother was right.
Okay.
She really was. And here's how it works.
All right.
In Noni, there are adaptogens. And adaptogens are substances that help the body come back to normal. You may have heard the term homeostasis. If something's too high, homeostasis brings it down to normal. If something's too low, homeostasis brings it back toward normal. And Noni has a very powerful homeostasis mechanism in it. And that substance, one of them, is proserpine.
Okay.
The other is that there are over 150 nutraceuticals in Noni. And any of those nutraceuticals can be an agent that can bring into homeostasis. Let me give you some examples.
Okay.
People People with Addison's disease have low adrenal hormone output.
Okay.
Take Noni, and it helps these people with their symptoms. People with Cushing syndrome have too much adrenal output, too many adrenal hormones. You take Noni, and it helps bring it down. People with diabetes have too high sugar. You take Noni, and it helps bring it down. People with too low sugar have too little, and Noni helps bring it up. So Noni helps bring it toward normal. That's called homeostasis.
Well, with that, I suppose my next logical question is, how much Noni juice should a person consume each day?
As much as it helps. Whatever helps you is what you should consume.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm a middle-aged, healthy adult. Let's say I decided I wanted to start taking Noni. How much should I take?
Had you ever taken it before?
No, I've never taken it before.
If you've never taken it before, the first thing you want to determine, could I be that 1% that's allergic to it?
Okay.
So you would take a teaspoon a day for 3 days,
okay.
and you take it before breakfast. You'll know in those 3 days if you're allergic. It will show up. The rash will show up, the slight diarrhea will show up, whatever. Most likely nothing will happen, and you'll then go to the next phase. The next phase is, I call the 4-3-2. Take 4 ounces a day for the next 30 days. And you would take 2 before breakfast and 2 before dinner. That's 2 ounces before breakfast, 2 ounces before dinner. Then I would take 3 ounces a day for the next 6 months. And I would take 1 before breakfast, 1 before lunch, 1 before dinner. Then I would take 2 ounces a day for maintenance, 1 before breakfast and 1 before dinner.
Well, Doc Solomon, we've covered what an adult should take. I have a granddaughter who's going to be 4 in about a week and a half. How much should she take?
Children up to 18 years of age should take exactly half of what the adult dose is. So take half of it, and that's what you should take. If you have pets, they should take half of what the adult dose is too.
Wow, you're covering my whole family. I got pets too. All right, why don't we go ahead and move on to specific diseases and conditions. What about cancer?
Cancer is, as you know, a terrible disease. And there are 2 ways that Noni helps fight against cancer. One is to try to prevent it, which I think is just so important. And the second is to help with the symptoms for those people that have cancer. So let's go back to the prevention. There's a very interesting study done by Dr. Myung Wong. She's an MD scientist from the University of Illinois, and she had 2 groups of male mice. One group she gave Tahitian Noni juice to, then she gave them a substance that causes changes in the DNA which can cause cancer. The other group she gave a placebo to, no Tahitian Noni juice, gave them the same amount of cancer-causing substance, and she found that there were big differences in the protection between the group that had Tahitian Noni juice and the group that didn't get Tahitian Noni juice. The results are as follows. In the lung, there was 50% protection. In the heart, 60%.
Wow.
In the liver, 70%. And in the kidney, 90% were protected. Now that's amazing. It really is.
Yes.
And that study is in the medical literature. That's been published in a peer-reviewed journal. She presented material at the American Cancer Society, and that's good, solid stuff. Now, in Tahitian Noni juice, proserpine helps the body heal itself. That's one of the big things that it does. It's one of the 150 nutraceuticals that's in there. And of the people that I studied throughout the world, 2,188 people had cancer. And of that group, 69% said it helped them. It helped decrease their symptoms, whether they were decreased pain, increased energy, or just felt better. And the average amount of noni, Tahitian noni juice, that was taken by each of those people was 3.5 ounces a day. And then there was a fascinating lady, Ann Wilson, and Gary and Ann told me about their problem.
The summer of 2002, I started to maybe not feel my best. I started to have maybe like some flu-like symptoms. I started to feel bloated. I was very tired. So I decided to see my physician, and he found a mass that he could see. I didn't feel it at all, but he could feel a mass. I went in and had a sonogram, and they said it was about the size of a 4-month-old fetus. The next day I was in surgery, and they removed a tumor on my left ovary that was 1,032 grams, which is about 2 1/3 pounds. That did turn out to be ovarian cancer. The doctor, even though the cancer had not spread, he did recommend as a precautionary measure that I go through 6 rounds of chemotherapy as soon as I could, which I did start in October of 2002. And there was absolutely a miracle that happened there. I continued to take noni juice. I asked my doctors if that was okay, and they said absolutely, just to do and be and take anything that I wanted. And of course I wanted to take Tahitian noni juice. And I continued to take 4 to 8 ounces throughout the day. I'd take 2 to 3 ounces at a time for the total of 4 to 8 ounces. And I was never sick. I never had the vomiting. I never was nauseated. I never had any sores in my mouth or anything negative feeling-wise. I absolutely felt wonderful. If you'd look at me, the coloring in my face was just normal. I attribute all of that, I believe, to taking noni juice on a consistent and regular basis. It was a very hard experience to go through, very scary, very difficult for my family. Tahitian noni juice saved my life. I truly believe that.
Wow. Dr. Solomon, that's good news, hearing about all the benefits you can get from noni to help with the symptoms.